Welcome back to these American edition episodes of Classic Restos. Of course, not possible without the continued support of my major sponsors. When it's time to buy, browse and sell online, you cannot go past the trading post. And of course, Shannons Insurance for your classic car, bike and even home cover. Give Shannons a call, 134646, and visit Shannons online at shannons.com.au. They're a fantastic insurance company. They can offer you a lot, and you can also sign up and be a part of the Shannons Club, where you can interact with fellow enthusiasts just like us. Well, we left Ohio earlier today and we've made our way to Flint in Michigan. I have to pinch myself. Flint in Michigan. This is where all the big action happened many, many years ago. It still does, especially right here on the grass. I'm in front of the Alfred P Sloan Museum. And from what I've heard, you can't come to Flint and not go in here. Let's go inside and get a closer look and find out what the Alfred P Sloan Museum is all about. Inside the Alfred P Sloan Museum here in Flint, Michigan. Lucky enough to catch up with this gentleman here, Tim Schickles, the director of the museum. How are you, Tim?
Just fine, Fletch. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. Good. We've had a good drive.
Well, I'm glad you're here in the museum and visiting Flint.
You know, there's no doubt about it. As soon as you walk into a place like this, it hits you. You cannot visit Flint, Michigan and not come to a place like this.
Well, I thank you for that, and we do have the history of Flint here that you can see, learn the story of Flint, and it's a wonderful place to live and to experience the automobile.
Now, Tim, you've brought me to this part of the museum. We've got some horse-drawn carriages behind me. There's a bit of history here. Where does it all begin?
Well, Fletch, there's an interesting story, legend that's talked about. When Billy Durant was here in Flint in the early days, early 1900s, he got interested in carriages, and so he went down to Coldwater, tested out a carriage, thought it was very easy to ride, and brought it here back to Flint and bought the company. And it was called the Coldwater Cart. He was very interested in that, thought cars were a fad. Well, his daughter took a ride in one, convinced him to get in the car herself. He thought then that was pretty neat. So he was sold on automobiles. But he said if he ever had that car or ever produced a car, he wanted to ride as good as this road cart.
That's amazing. So, hence the inception of Buick.
That's correct. This would be the beginning of Buick, if that's really the case.
Okay, we're moving through. This is the 1920s part of the museum now. This is great how this is all laid out. I mean, such a timeline of progression. It's incredible, Tim.
Well, thank you. And yes, what we've tried to do is we've tried to tell the story of Flint chronologically. And when you get into the 1920s, that's the growth period of Flint. That's when the company, General Motors, was really growing. We had individuals coming from all parts of the country, and they were living in tents until such time as we had enough housing for them to be housed in.
Wow, this is just getting better and better. We're in the 1940s now. Interesting in the 30s, though. Big strike.
Big strike. That was the sit-down strike, 36, 37, and that's when we see the creation of UAW, United Auto Workers. And then in the 40s, what we see here is Arsenal of Democracy. This is when all of the plants were turned over to war production, supplying our allies as well as American troops. And Flint was a big community for producing a huge amount of material for our allies.
The transmission behind you, made by Buick, is just absolutely incredible. That went into a tank.
Went into an M18 Hellcat tank destroyer, and we actually have one over in the Buick gallery, and we'll have a chance to see that in a little bit.
You know, you come here for the afternoon, but, you know, you've got to stay a week, I think, Tim.
Well, it does take a little while to go through here, but if you're really an enthusiast, you can spend quite a bit of time in the museum.
Absolutely. I'm waiting to get to the muscle cars.
There you go. We'll move on there next.
All right, come on, let's go. Next section.
All right.
Moving through this incredible museum. What do we have here, Tim?
Well, Fletch, on my right, we have a 1958 Indianapolis Racer. It's a yellow, as you can see, but it was the 42nd running of the Indianapolis, and it only made about 23 laps, but it's a beautiful automobile. We have it on loan to us just for the summer, and so we thought we would bring that in. On my left, what we have is a 1917 Indianapolis racer, and it is the yellow Miller Yellow Submarine, or Golden Submarine, I should say. And the Golden Submarine was the winner of that year, and it is an extremely unique automobile, and as you can see, one that would have been quite challenging to drive.
Got a comment on the 58, the amount of billet work in the front end, the suspension. Incredible technology, but then again in 1958 they were doing some very good things, weren't they?
They were. There was a lot of engineering going in at that time, and we were seeing a lot of horsepower, a lot of growth in technology, the milling of the machinery and such. So it was really a unique time period, and I think the design of the cars at that time were just really something to look at.
And as for the 1917 Miller, I mean, when this was designed, I mean, they just had so much less to go on. I mean, it must have blown people's minds when they saw this. They must have thought, what's that?
Can you imagine driving this vehicle at 100 miles an hour, and you can look at the windshield, which there is no really windshield, but the small opening, and I'm told when they were driving it over a hill, which this actually was driven in not only in the Indianapolis race, but in some over-the-road races, you'd go over the top of the hill. You couldn't see until you plopped back down. So it was what was on the other side of the hill you didn't know.
We've just come a couple of 100 metres to one side, and Tim's ducked off. We've got Jeremy. Now, Jeremy's going to give us the conducted tour in this section here. We've got 3 incredible cars, possibly 3 cars that you've never, ever seen before. Jeremy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Fletch.
Jeremy, let's start with the Centurion. Now, what's the story here? A prototype car? It's just beyond words.
Yeah, yep. GM used it for one of their Motorama cars in the 50s. It's a 1956 Buick Centurion. It's full of designs that you never saw on production cars, with the exception of one thing. Kind of the sweep spear chrome detail on the side is the only thing that ended up on a production car. Everything else, from the backup camera that's mounted in the rear, there's a display screen on the front.
I'll just stop you there. Backup camera. 1956 we're talking about. Now, if you've got a car today and you've got a backup camera, you're doing pretty good. 1956. Prototype. Buick. Had it. You can see the screen in the dash. Camera at the back on the trunk. Continue, Jeremy.
Yeah, and that was really more of necessity than anything else. Because of the bubble top, there's no way to mount the rearview mirror, so that was the system they came up with. But as you can see with the shots of the car, is really heavily aircraft inspired. The turbine housing, headlights, the wings on the back, even the original steering wheel was a steering yoke, an airplane steering yoke. It was full of other details like a digital clock. 1956 was pretty cool to have a digital clock. Also, the speedometer the needle was fixed and the speedometer rotated around. Yeah, so it's all these little tricky gadgety things that made this car so cool.
So features on this one, Jeremy?
Yeah, this one, it's, again, aircraft-inspired, features a wraparound windshield. Buick designers and GM designers really in the 50s were really into this long and low style that you see on the XP300. This one contains, it started out Harley Earl and his LeSabre, Charles Shane, who ultimately designed the 300, was working with Earl on the LeSabre, and they just had too many ideas for one car. Yeah. So
they've got a lot to answer for, haven't they?
They do. So Earl took the LeSabre, and Charles Shane took the XP300. It's called the 300 because it has 300 horsepower, actually 325 horsepower, but way ahead of its time.
In 1951.
Right. In 1951, 325 horsepower.
I mean, if you've got 325 horsepower now out of the factory showroom, you're doing pretty good for a daily car.
Yeah, absolutely. And this one, the hydraulic system was completely ahead of its time. It operated everything from the hood to the trunk. Even if you had a flat tire, you could jack up the car from inside the cockpit just by pressing a button. You wouldn't even have to get out.
Now, I'm not going to cheat and look at the board down there. What year is it, Jeremy?
It's a 1954 Buick Wildcat. Yep. This car is really unique in that it was basically, they took the Corvette, tried to free it of any European styling influences. So it's an all-American Corvette, more or less.
It's the old made in America, support America. I mean, you guys even traditionally today, you still stick by that as much as you possibly can. Okay, let's take in these lines. Have a go at this. The windswept lines of this Wildcat. An incredible car. An extension of almost like an early Bearcat.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though it was supposed to be like a design of tomorrow, all these concept cars were supposed to be designs of tomorrow. This one, I mean, it has just as many retro influences. The front bumper there is kind of a biplane bumper, which is reminiscent of 20s and 30s speeders. It has bullet details like the old bullet headlights.
Unbelievable. Do you ever get a chance to drive these things, Jeremy?
I don't personally. Only a few of them run. The Wildcat actually runs. The XP300 runs as well. Every once in a while, we'll drive them around. But since we're a museum, we try to preserve them, do the best we can to preserve them, and the best way is to keep them still.
Look, we could talk forever, Jeremy. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. It's just been fantastic. I just want to thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Fletch. Thanks for coming by.
Don't forget to like Classic Restos on Facebook. Facebook.com/Classic Restos TV. And episodes can be seen at shannons.com.au. Well, there goes another Classic Restos. Thanks for riding along with me. For DVD sets and to contact the major sponsors, go to classicrestos.com.au. Classic Restos, proudly brought to you by Shannons Insurance and thetradingpost.com.au.